Salam sejahtera, anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkafli dan ini Niaga AWANI. Kita mulakan dengan perkembangan luar negara. Saham di pasaran Amerika catat kenaikan pada Isnin dengan indeks utama Wall Street ditutup pada paras tertinggi. Ini selepas Presiden Trump meluluskan bantuan COVID-19 dan perbelanjaan kerajaan bernilai $2.3 trilion.
Menurut laporan Reuters, pelabur mendapat sentimen positif daripada keputusan Trump dan rally Christmas. Ini termasuk peningkatan pindahan tunai kepada $2,000. Pada penutup, indeks Dow Jones meningkat 204 mata, S&P 500 naik 32 mata dan Nasdaq naik 94 mata. Saham yang sebelum ini terkesan akibat COVID-19 seperti penerbangan dan kapal persiaran meningkat dengan bantuan $15 bilion daripada kerajaan. Saham lain yang catat peningkatan termasuk komunikasi, perbelanjaan pengguna dan teknologi. S&P 500 dijangka akan capai sasaran peningkatan 15% tahun ini. Ini disokong polisi monetary vaksin COVID-19 yang dijangka akan pulihkan suasana ekonomi. Namun pelabur kekal risau dengan peningkatan COVID-19, pilihan raya Senat Georgia dan penilaian yang dilaporkan terlalu tinggi.
Dan sementara itu, Dewan Perwakilan Amerika luluskan tambahan kepada pindahan tunai daripada $600 kepada $200 untuk setiap orang dewasa. Tambahan ini digesa Presiden Donald Trump yang ingin bantuan diberikan kepada rakyat dan bukan perbelanjaan yang beliau dakwa membazir.
Peningkatan ini masih perlu diundi Senat yang dikawal Parti Republikan. Ekonomi Amerika kini mempunyai 11 juta orang yang menganggur dan bantuan ini dilihat mampu bantu rangsang perbelanjaan pengguna. Bantuan ini akan berikan $2,000 kepada individu dewasa dan $600 kepada seorang kanak-kanak. Ini akan bantu ekonomi terbesar dunia itu yang bergantung kepada perbelanjaan pengguna untuk jana ekonomi domestik. Kumpulan Republikan enggan tingkatkan lagi pelan rangsangan kerana ingin kawal hutang kerajaan. Peningkatan kepada $2,000 akan tingkat pelan bantuan berkenaan sebanyak $464 bilion. Sehingga kini 330,000 orang maut akibat COVID-19 di Amerika dan 19.2 juta kes positif terkumpul.
Dan Presiden dipilih Joe Biden beri amaran wujud kerosakan di dalam institusi keselamatan negara di bawah pentadbiran Presiden Donald Trump. Dedahnya dalam masa yang sama wujud kekangan komunikasi antara agensi kerajaan dan pasukannya yang mampu beri ancaman kepada keselamatan negara. Ini termasuk antara Jabatan Keselamatan, Jabatan Belanjawan dan juga pasukannya. Ini tegasnya menyukarkan proses mendapatkan maklumat untuk peralihan kuasa yang lancar. Kenyataan berkenaan dibuat selepas beliau mendapat penerangan daripada ahli pasukan peralihannya. Dan hari ini tentunya kita ingin melihat kepada tahun 2020 dan juga pengajaran yang didapati serta apakah jangkaan untuk tahun 2021 dari segi ekonomi global, Amerika dan juga China. Kita bersama dengan Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Juwai AQI Shan Said yang melihat kepada minggu terakhir untuk dagangan bursa pada minggu ini dan juga apakah jangkaan untuk tahun 2021 selepas melihat kepada apa yang berlaku kepada ekonomi dunia akibat COVID-19. Shan, thank you for joining us. Let's start with some of your calls in 2020. Ringgit to dollar, you said 3.97 to 4.30. Today or yesterday was traded at 4.0485. Tell us about ringgit and dollar, especially dollar in regards to the stimulus packages and also the QE done by the US and how that's affecting dollar so far.
I think at the start of the year on 2nd January, I shared my interview with Star newspaper where I said dollar will be facing tail end risk because it's an election year, plus they want to keep dollar down. They will continue to have a weaker dollar in 2021, and I wouldn't be surprised if dollar goes down by 20%. This year alone, dollar index has gone down by 15%. This is part of the tactical move by the Fed to spur growth and to help build their exports structure, which I think at the moment is quite challenging, taking into account COVID has really created havoc for the US economy. And American economy has lost $10 trillion just because of this COVID. And with this second and third wave coming, I think US economy will go for another lockdown. And again, it will create a huge drag on the economy. So 2021, US dollar will stay weaker. I'm saying, I'm very conservative, 20%. Other people are saying between 20 and 40%.
And Shan, let's talk about oil price. You said $45 to $55 per barrel. Now it's around $50.86 per barrel for Brent. We also saw how oil prices went into negative in April to negative about $30 per barrel. This surely is an historic event. Tell us about the demand for oil right now. Now that we have the vaccine, do you think or do you foresee oil prices will continue to climb, or will OPEC maybe adjust the output looking at how demand could still be slow?
Yes, Rizal, this year has been very, very challenging. As you rightly said, on 20th April, oil was trading at $37.63 negative, and that was the historic low. But I think as we move forward, the demand is picking up. The demand is coming from China, ASEAN, and Asia. As you know, Europe is locked down, UK is locked down, US is still struggling. So most of the demand is coming from Asia. And Asia is the growth story. So for next year, 2021, we are saying oil prices will be trading between $50 and $65 per barrel. The premise is very simple. Geopolitical risk is making a huge impact across all asset classes. And the second premise is US dollar will go down by 20%. It's a straight $10 per barrel increase. So I think overall, we are quite buoyant on oil prices, and oil prices are heading north in 2021.
And let's talk about Trump versus Biden. You said Trump would win. Wrong call. What do you make of the transition process right now? I think Biden has announced that some of the teams were not briefed properly, and there was some miscommunications between the team and also the current administration. Do you think this will be a smooth transition process, looking at the maybe sentiment put forth by President Trump?
Yes, that was a wrong call. We didn't make it right. I think the most important day is 6th January, when President Trump would be addressing a rally in Washington, D.C. And he has called all his voters to come and see the rally on 6th January. I think, in my opinion, the transition process doesn't look smooth because President-elect Joe Biden has not been able to get the briefing from the securities and national security and about the domestic affairs. So I think it will be a huge challenge. Next 20 days will be quite challenging, not only for the global economy, but also for the US economy, as the whole world is analyzing and looking and monitoring the transition process very closely. But the key date is 6th January, when President Trump would be addressing the rally in Washington, D.C.
Is this still providing maybe this uncertainty in the economy, in the markets, in the US, global markets? What do you make of this transition process? Or do you think people have factored this in when it comes to making their decisions for 2021?
I think you have picked the right word, uncertainty. It will be a huge drag. We are saying at Joy IQI that US stock market, I'm very conservative over here, might go down between 30 and 40% next year, because valuations are high, and the markets are again misreading many of those variables that are coming, but they are not seeing. Markets are all-time high. And in any drop, let's say a 10% drop in US dollar, it increases the S&P earnings by 3%. So I think US dollar going down, earnings going up, but there's political shenanigan. There are a lot of geopolitical risk. I see markets going down between 30 and 40%, and that will create huge drag on not only the US economy, but also in the global economy as well.
The US dollar has also depreciated around 15% year to date. Tell us more about this and the US stimulus process was tough. Can we expect more from the US in 2021 to help recover its economy?
Yes, dollar has gone down by 15%, as you rightly said. But the challenge is, the biggest risk to the global economy is US dollar depreciating significantly, because most of those equity and bond investors, they don't really hedge their position against the currency risk. And once the currency risk goes deeper into these asset classes, then many investors, they suffer. So I think US dollar will continue to stay low, because Fed has already indicated they won't be increasing the interest rate before 2023. But the challenge is, inflation is coming up very strongly. And I would not be surprised if Fed will take another wrong decision by increasing the interest rate in 2022. Once they increase the interest rate, again the economy will go, it's already heading towards double dip recession. So, and we are heading for stagflation. What is stagflation? Where you have higher inflation, a higher unemployment and lower growth. And US is heading in that direction. So I think it's a huge drag, and Fed has been behind the curve most of the time. And I'm expecting they will have another wrong call in 2022 when they will increase interest rate and they will surprise the markets.
Let's move on to the fiscal stimulus. The U.S. Treasury Department is anticipating sending the first $600 check to individuals as early as this week. What can we expect from that? Will that be enough to help with the recovery, given that Trump has pushed for a $2,000 check for individuals and $600 for kids?
Rizal's economy only moves when consumers are spending. It is all about consumption. It is all about aggregate demand. But the challenge is most of the American consumers are under a lot of debt. So what they are doing with the stimulus amount, they are paying off their debt. And debt is not contributing anything to the economy. If this is contributing to the American economy should be trading between 3 and 4% of GDP. But American economy is still reading under of 1%. And with this COVID, a lot of American investors, they don't have confidence about the strategy that the current administration is using. So I think even with this $2,000, it won't help the economy. Most of the American consumers, from my networking in US, they're saying most of the people, they're paying off their debts. And deleveraging is not helping the American economy.
And Sean, let's take a short break. When we come back, let's talk about gold. You said 1,500. Gold is now traded around $1,800. And also China and the Malaysian economy. Bertemu kembali dan kita bersama dengan Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Jual IQI Shan Syed. Shan, let's talk about gold. Gold is, I think, is still the safe haven right now. Looking at how the uncertainty and looking at how things are moving forward. Tell us about this price, this $1,800. It's a bit lower than what you expected, $2,200 to $2,500. What happened there?
I think gold has been heavily manipulated by the central banks, and they're trying to distort the gold prices. Gold, as you know, sophisticated and smart investors who understand history and economics, they have always taken position in real estate and gold because these are tangible assets. So for 2021, we are saying that gold prices will be trading between $2,500 and $3,000 per ounce by December 31st. The premise is very simple. If US dollar goes down by 20% and you have gold prices at $1,900 per ounce, it's a straight 400% increase. So that makes gold to be at 2,300. And with political shenanigans, geopolitical risk, and other factors, because the macroeconomic variables are very favorable for gold, that makes gold to be heading towards north. So we are still quite buoyant and bullish about gold, and gold will be a major asset class in the portfolio of major investors moving forward.
And China is also planning for the next 5 years post-COVID-19. How do you think China will realign its economy to this new norm? What more can we expect from China? Will China maybe relook at the trade war with the US, and the US with Joe Biden, maybe relook at the trade war with China? Tell us more about that.
I think the narrative from US will remain the same. They will continue to be bashing China, but China has been very smart and they have made some tactical move, and they have been focusing on their domestic demand and domestic business. They have initiated a dual circulation strategy. What is dual circulation strategy? By supporting aggregate demand and by supporting local businesses. As you know, 75% still of the global economies under lockdown economies are struggling and they're suffering because of COVID. But on the other hand, Chinese economy is still on the upsurge. The reason is very simple. Chinese consumers still have money. The Chinese consumers have $2.7 trillion in assets as compared to any other country. So I think the move by Chinese government has paid off. By May this year, China was already having a trade surplus. In one of my interviews in March, I said China will recover much faster and stronger as compared to many economies, as compared to Europe, US, Japan, or even Korea. So China is leading from the front, and they have shown, and these turbulent times, the best strategy is to make yourself domestically strong. Once you are domestically strong, then you can go to the external environment and you can make aggressive move. And it sends signal to global investors that this economy is much stronger, and where consumers have the purchasing power to spend. That's why most of the FDI is going towards China. So the strategy adopted by Chinese government and the economic outlook for China remains quite bullish. And we at Juwai IQI, we are saying for 2021, Chinese GDP will be moving between 7 and 8%. Economist magazine, according to the latest update, they are saying 7.3 for China in 21.
And Shan, let's move on to the key trends in 2021. Industry to prosper, and also because of the vaccine, I think more reopening will happen, especially in regards to the tourism and also services-related sectors. You said logistics and delivery, healthcare, social media marketing. Tell us more about these key trends and what can we expect in 2021?
I think in 2020, we have witnessed some of the industries that are moving and they're doing pretty well. One is logistics and delivery services. Everybody wants a delivery to be made. So logistics is one area which will continue to boom, not only this year, but also for next year as well. And we expect the logistic industry, the market size will be touching between 12 and $15 trillion by 2022. That is massive. The second sector that we are quite bullish, and it will be a major trend, is healthcare and hygiene. We have seen COVID has made a huge impact on the market, and most of the healthcare stocks and industry, they are doing pretty well. And many people are jumping into this industry because there are a lot of profits. And this COVID will continue to 2021 or even beyond. And global economy is not recovering before 2023. So healthcare and hygiene, it will be a major industry and major trend for 2021. The third is social media marketing. Mainstream marketing is not very effective. It is all about social media. Most of the people, they are on internet and they want to see what is happening online. So if you can, effectively market yourself, then your chances of making good profits and making deep insights into the market, they're pretty high. So we at Juwai IQI, we have been saying, in order to capture the mind share of the client, you have to build your market share by effectively branding yourself. It's all about branding. People buy brands. People buy those brands which are in high value and which have been marketed quite effectively. So I think logistics, healthcare, and social media marketing, these are the three key sectors for 2021 to look out for.
Talk about bonds, equity markets, and also currencies. What's the outlook for all three of that?
I think if you look last week, currency market will continue to stay quite volatile. Look at Iraqi dinar. Iraqi dinar was devalued by 23%. So imagine the amount of inflation that goes into the economy. So I think currency market will continue to be quite volatile. As I said, US dollar significant depreciation will be a huge risk to the global economy, and most of the equity and bond investors will be surprised with this depreciation. With the bond market, yes, it has been manipulated by Fed. Equity markets, we see quite a lot of volatility and bedlam coming back, and there will be a huge correction in the equity market between 30 and 40%. So overall, these three asset classes will remain volatile. 2021 will be tougher than 2020.
What about geopolitical risk? Do you foresee that in the future?
Oh, absolutely, Rizal. There are a lot of flashpoints going ahead. You have South China Sea, you have Arabian Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Indian Ocean. We expect geopolitical risk going up, and it will create, again, a huge drag, not only for the global economy, but against all asset classes moving forward. So geopolitical risk, the flashpoints are pretty much visible, and most of those equity and bond investors, they have to be very, very careful as we move forward.
Let's look at the Malaysian economy after the downgrade by Fitch ratings. Where do we go next?
I think Malaysian economy, as you must have read yesterday's newspaper, the exports are up by 4%, which is pretty good, taking into account the fragilities and external environment, which is very uncertain. Malaysian economy has been able to navigate those uncertainties and perform pretty well. We expect Malaysian economy to trade between the GDP between 3 and 4% next year. Economist magazine, according to the latest issue, is saying 5%. So overall, we are quite buoyant on the economy. The basic premise is macroeconomic stability and productive labor force. These are the two major factors that will drive Malaysian economy for next year.
We'll talk about the labour force briefly after this, but let's look at the Malaysian economy still. What are some of the key strengths that you have discovered when it comes to Malaysian economy this year that is maybe putting Malaysia in a good position to go forth into 2021?
Number one is resilience. Economy has strength to take external pressure. And number two, the most important, people. Labor force drive the productivity and labor force drive the GDP growth. Malaysian labor force is still, after Singapore and ASEAN region, is still very strong. They are very tech savvy and they continue to drive the GDP growth for Malaysian economy. So I think these two key variables are important for Malaysia: resilience and labor force productivity. And at the end of the day, it's all about labor force productivity, that global investors, not only about Joy IQI, but there are many others who are looking at it very closely. And that's how you gauge the economy in the long run.
And what's your message to the labor force in Malaysia? How do they stay relevant in the market in 2021?
I think my message to labor force of Malaysia is go into technology, enhance your skill set, especially in technology landscape, because there will be a lot of opportunities in the technology industry. A lot of global companies are moving into Malaysia. You have Huawei and Alibaba already in the market. So moving forward, most of the jobs will be in the technology landscape. There will be a lot of jobs in logistics, but I would say technology will remain the key or the star for many job markets. So Malaysian labor force should focus on technology, presentation skills, and try to understand what the market requirements are, what are the labor force actually expecting from them, and bring their skill set according to the market expectation so that they get absorbed into the market very quickly.
On that note, thank you very much, Shan Said, Ketua Pakar Ekonomi Joy IQI, membincangkan berkenaan dengan ekonomi 2020, cabarannya serta unjuran untuk ekonomi 2021. Teruskan bersama kami di Astro AWANI sepanjang minggu ini ketika kami membincangkan berkenaan dengan tema yang sama, pengajaran 2020 dan juga unjuran untuk 2021. Saya Riza Zulkafli, salam hormat.